You may or may not have heard me use the phrase, the 240 game. Well, we're going to play it. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I would like to see the baby. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. So hit the thumb and the double bang and leave your comments down below. All right, you may or may not have heard me talk about the old 240 game. And it's one of those ones that I will encourage people to do, because people will say, Josh, this guy will do this. He will play this many minutes. Or why do you have this guy so low? He's definitely getting this many minutes. And I say, okay, that's cool. There's only 240 minutes to go around in an NBA game. That is all there is. So I can do my season-long projections, and I do, obviously, basketballmonster.com. I can do the projected minutes for players, and that takes into consideration that someone will sit some games and someone will sit others. It's the Andre Drummond situation. We balance all those minutes for the entirety of the season. We put some overage on there because it's impossible, as you know, to predict missed games. Impossible. You can't do it. We have ideas of certain situations, Embiid, Kawhi, of what we know is going to be happening, and guys that are currently injured, but otherwise it's impossible. So we put overage into those numbers. But on a daily basis, on a daily game-by-game basis, there are 240 minutes available for players. And most coaches will use 10-man rotations. Some will use 9. 1 or 2 might use 11. So when we're looking at these breakout upside guys that have massive games in the preseason, we go, oh, well, this guy, I would love to grab him and do this, blah, blah, blah. Finding the minutes is bloody hard. So I'm going to go through the first 7 teams here. We're going to do this in stages. Give you my ideas as it sits currently 16th of October about how I see the 240 playing out. And I will probably change my mind a couple of times before opening night. But this is where I'm currently sitting with this at the moment. We will start in Atlanta, a team which is, again, one of the teams that I don't know. And we can sit here and we can have discussions and we can have thoughts about where the players are going to sit. But I don't know. What I do know is that Trae Young is going to start, and I've got him in at 35 minutes. Yep. I think Dyson Daniels is going to start, and I've got him at 26 minutes. Again, it would be very easy to say Dyson's been great, he'll play 31. Like, that's great, but then we'll need to see how all of this stuff plays out. I don't think DeAndre Hunter is going to last as a starter, but I do think that Quinn Snyder starts him opening night, but I've only got him at 25 minutes. I've got Jalen Johnson at 34, and him and Trae are the only guys that I feel very confident about their role and their minutes. And then I do have Clint Capella starting because Onyeka Okongwu has not been seen. He hasn't played. Now, Capella, I believe, hurt his ankle like just before I recorded this. So I don't know what happens there. But I've got Capella at 23 minutes for opening night. I think Okongwu will take this spot. And if there is a situation where Capella is hurt and Okongwu is healthy, then Okongwu will get it and he won't give it back. But at the moment, Okongwu is not playing. So I've got Capella sitting there at 23 minutes. This is the 240 game. Because there are 3 players on this bench group who I think are going to have to play 20 plus minutes. And this all totals up to 240. You can do your own 240 game with every team. I've got Bogdan Bogdanovic playing 28 minutes. So for Dyson Daniels to get to 30, Bogdan probably needs to do a little bit less. But I've got him at 28. I've got Onyeka Okongwu at 22 at the moment. That's assuming that he is ready for opening night. I don't know that he is. And I don't think that if he was healthy, he would just slide straight in and start without a single preseason game. But, of course, if Capella then doesn't play, then Okongwu probably would. I've got number 1 overall pick, Zachary Ricochet at 26 minutes. I would say he has clearly outplayed DeAndre Hunter through the preseason, but it doesn't mean that he's going to start or not. But I think he'll get these 26 minutes, and I think that'll become 30 within a week. Honestly, we saw it last season. Quinn Snyder does this thing. He defaults to the old guy. I vaguely remember in Utah he was Rodney Hood over Donovan Mitchell. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But he did it with Sadiq Bey over Jalen Johnson last season. So I think Hunter might get that nod, and I don't think it'll take long. But I've got Ricochet at 26. That leaves 21 minutes left. I gave 10 minutes to Kobe Buffkin to be the backup point guard because, who else is the backup point guard? I've got Trey at 35 minutes. I've got 10 minutes to Buffkin and then 3 minutes maybe with Bogdan or Dyson doing it. And then I've got Larry Nance, who for some reason is still on this team with 11 minutes. Now that means that my man Vic Krejci gets 0 minutes. I don't know how realistic that is, but again, who doesn't play then? Buffkin, and they have no point guard? Does Nance not play at all? Seems unlikely. So if Capella or Okongwu are out, Nance will do more, and then someone like Krejci will step in. But this is where it gets tough. How do I give more to Ricochet unless Hunter's at 20 minutes? How do I give Daniels 30 minutes unless Buffkin doesn't play? Pretty hard. Pretty hard to do. Let's look at Boston. Most of this is relatively easy and rock solid. 33 minutes for Derek White, 33 minutes for Drew Holiday, 34 minutes for Jaylen Brown, 35 minutes for Jason Tatum. I think that is as easy as it gets. Al Horford, I've got at 27 minutes. He could easily play 29 here. I've got him starting at 27. Again, could easily become 29, but that is the starting five. No injuries have cropped up that we know of. That is it. Obviously, Kristaps Porzingis is out, so I'm not including him in this. There's going to be a lot of talk of we've got to draft Sam Hauser, we've got to draft Peyton Pritchard, but in daily changes formats, as you're going to see, there's just not enough minutes for these guys to do something regularly enough that you're using them as a top 120, top 150 value player. You're requiring somebody else to be out to get there. I've got Pritchard and Hauser at 19 minutes. Could easily be 23, but if they both played 23 each, that's 8 minutes that need to come from somewhere. And you could make the argument, and I get this, that the guy that I've got at the bottom there, Jordan Walsh, playing 10 minutes, maybe he just doesn't play and they use a 9-man rotation. That is possible. And in those 10 minutes, you get 3 to Pritchard, 3 to Hauser, a little bit more to the Cornette and Tillmans. But I do think that Walsh will get a crack at this. I've got Cornette at 16, and I've got Tillman at 14. Now, Tillman can play alongside Horford, and so can Cornette, because they don't really have another power forward at all. So that's why I've got those two ostensibly backup centers in Cornette and Tillman both getting 16 to 14 minutes and added on to 27 minutes of Horford. That's 57 minutes. But there's going to be some crossover, I think. And then I do have 10 minutes of Jordan Walsh. If he doesn't play again, that can go somewhere else. But for as good as the Celtics team is, and they obviously are, you run into a depth problem pretty quickly. There's no guarantee that Lonnie Walker even makes the roster. So he might not play. And would he play over Pritchard, White, Holiday? Maybe Hauser. Would it be Jaden Springer playing? Would Baylor Shireman get the minutes? Almost definitely not to any of those answers. The only guy I can see getting it is Walsh and Walker, maybe if he makes the roster. And I don't know that he does. We'll get back and look at a few more teams in a sec. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. When you are watching a game, it might be an NFL game, might be an NBA preseason game, I don't know. I don't want to judge. Whatever it is that you're watching, you can check out all the live odds on FanDuel. You open up the app, and on that app, instead of having to go to different pages and different sites and different apps, you can see all of the stats right there. You can see all of the play-by-play in that same spot as well. It is all there for you to devour in that one spot. And to get your hands on $200 of bonus bets, well, you've just got to be a new customer and place your first $5 bet. And you get the $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Easy. So go and check out all the stuff they've got over at FanDuel, especially leading up to this NBA season. We've got LeBron James odds to record 20-plus assists in one game, plus 3,500. That doesn't seem like a good result at all. Any player to score 82-plus points in a regular season game, plus 4,200. I think those odds would need to be a little bit higher, but they're not, but they're there. You can go and check them out. So go ahead and check out everything over at FanDuel, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. I think I'm going to say this a lot, but this next team's hard to figure out as well, and it's the Brooklyn Nets. Don't really know what to make of them. Don't know what to make of their starting lineup. Don't know what to make of their reserves. Don't know what to make of their priorities. And this is, again, probably one that I will change quite a bit. You know that I like Noah Clowney a lot. I like him a lot as a player. But are they going to start him? I don't know. This is what I think they're going to do. Dennis Schroeder, I've got him for 30 minutes. Cam Thomas, 34. Cam Johnson, 27. Ben Simmons, 27. And Nick Claxton, 31. Now, the Simmons-Claxton pairing is a terrible pairing. But I do think they are going to put Simmons out there alongside Schroeder, alongside Claxton. They've been starting Dorian Finney-Smith at center in some of these games that Claxton's been out. We know that Day'Ron Sharpe is already out. It's a very, very confusing lineup. But again, remember this, when we're talking about drafting Clowney is fine, but is there a 28-minute role immediately? I would say, given the pattern of what Jordi Fernandez has done through the preseason so far, I'm not sure he's going to get there. And I want him to. One of the things that I don't know is, if you look at the reserves, I've got Clowney there at about 23 minutes at the moment. I've got Dorian Finney-Smith at 23 minutes as well. But Bojan Bogdanovic is the other one. I don't know whether Bojan will play or not. He hasn't played all season, all preseason. Actually, if I had to guess, I would say Bojan does not play with a foot surgery that he had, and that's 20 minutes that can go into other spots. So 4 more to Finney-Smith, 3 more to Finney-Smith, a couple more to Clowney. And then someone like Zaire Williams gets a boost there. And the other player they'd look at is someone like a Shake Milton too. So I've got Jalen Wilson getting 10 minutes. I've got Zaire Williams getting 15. But even that 10 minutes for Jalen Wilson, I think, could easily be Shake Milton. Or even Killian Hayes, who's been injured in the preseason as well. So outside of Clowney and Finney-Smith, and probably Zaire, I don't know if Bogdanovic plays. I don't know if Jalen Wilson does. I don't know if Shake Milton does. Obviously, Day'Ron Sharpe is out. So Clowney gets a lot of backup center minutes. And Finney-Smith will get that as well. But that's why I've got concerns about whether they're going to fully invest in Clowney immediately. I think they should, but I don't know if they will. Let's look at the Charlotte Hornets. New coach, Charles Lee, I think their pace is going to be up this season. I've got LaMelo Ball starting, playing 34 minutes. I've got Josh Green at the moment. I don't know how much it sticks there, playing 22. But that's not a full starter's minutes because there are guys off the bench I think they're going to want to get more into. So I've got 34 of Brandon Miller. I've got 34 of Miles Bridges. And at the moment, I'm going to put Mark Williams in there at 25 minutes as he returns from this foot injury. He's going to be touch and go whether he actually plays or not. In terms of their reserves, I'm going to put Nick Richards at 17. That will go up if Mark Williams doesn't play. Obviously, you've got Grant Williams, who's still in this team, who played backup center, who played backup 4. I've got him at 23. I've got Trey Mann, who's been absolutely killing it in the preseason, at 24 minutes. I've got Tijan Salan, who's been killing it in the preseason at 15 minutes. Because I don't really know how else I find those minutes. Where does Salan get 25 minutes? Does he start over Josh Green and they just take Josh Green out of the rotation? I guess maybe. The 10th guy I've got there is Vasimisic at 12 minutes just to sort of be a LaMelo Ball reserve. But he could easily play more than that. He was very, very good for this team last season. It's again, there's a lot of rotation players in the NBA who are good, or good enough to be getting opportunities. And the nature of the game and the nature of the roster situation in the NBA is they just might not play enough. And I think we can see that developing. A lot of these guys we might like a chance on, like a Mann or a Salan, or a Josh Green, or a Noah Clowney, or any number of these players, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard. Getting the 240 it's not easy. It's not easy. Let's go to Chicago, where I think this starting lineup at the moment is locked in. 31 minutes to Josh Giddey, 35 minutes to Kobe White, 34 minutes to Zach LaVine, 25 minutes to Pat Williams, and I don't think he stays in that spot very long, and 33 minutes to Nikola Vucevic. Vuce can easily lose minutes. He could be traded, or Billy Donovan just doesn't. Giddey might easily play 33 minutes. This is, of course, an elephant in the room of what the hell do they do with Lonzo Ball, and we'll get to that in a sec. I don't really think Williams has any shot of sticking or playing 30 minutes, so we're not drafting him anywhere. I don't think. And now, when we're talking about some of these reserves that we might like, where do we get minutes? Because I've got Dosunmu at 27. Down the stretch last season, he played 36 a night. Okay. If he's getting 36, that's 9 extra minutes. Where do they come? I guess you could just say they run a 9-man and they take Torrey Craig out. Possible. Yeah, possible. I mean, they have no forward depth really whatsoever. Got Lonzo Ball playing 13 minutes. He could get to 19, and I think he will eventually, but that's another one of those things that you got LaVine and White and Giddey and Dosunmu and Ball, like 5 guards, 4 of them point guards. Cool. I got Matas Buzelis at 20, and I like what Buzelis has shown most of the time. I think there's a real chance for him to overtake Pat Williams, but initially, probably not. I got Jalen Smith at 15, taking all of the backup centre minutes behind Vooch, and I threw 7 minutes onto Torrey Craig to bring us a 10-man rotation. Easily could go 9, easily could take Torrey Craig 7 minutes out of there. That's a couple more for Io, a couple more for Lonzo, a couple more for Buzelis. Yep, 2, 29, 15, 22. Let's put 30 onto Dosunmu. Easily possible if you run a 9-man. But that doesn't always happen. Happens sometimes, but doesn't always get there. So I think you can see like some of the difficulty when we're talking about projecting minutes and projecting rotations and wanting to get enough minutes into our favorite flyers and sleepers and these guys to see what they did, because it's just not easy to get enough playing time for everybody. Again, given the nature of how a game works, and that is what the 240 game is. Today's episode is also brought to you by 4Hims. Intimate moments sometimes happen spontaneously, and you always want to make sure that you are ready, and you can be ready to perform in the bedroom or wherever, kitchen, lounge, whatever it is. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you know that you're going to be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints, Viagra, Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. You answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything, from treatments to ongoing care. And with hundreds and thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That is hims.com/lockedon. For your personalized ED treatments, hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Let's go through the last couple of teams we're going to handle in this part 1 of the show. We'll go to Cleveland and take a look at their starting 5, which I think is relatively set. It's done. The thing we look at with this is I believe that Kenny Atkinson will not run a 9-man rotation. He'll go 10, maybe 11, and he will spread some of the minutes out. So that is why you'll see some smaller minutes totals for some of the starters compared to what they did last season. So I've got Garland at 33. I've got Don Mitchell at 33. I've got the Winter Soldier, Max Strus, sitting at 29 minutes because there's just a few other guys who can easily take that playing time. I've got Evan Mobley, 33, and Jarrett Allen, 32. All right, this is why I don't like that idea of Donovan Mitchell in round 1, because I don't think he's playing 36 minutes. That's what I don't think is going to happen. And now, even with that, when you go look at the rotation, the 10-man, there's some spots where you go, well, that guy maybe could play more. And that's true, because I've only got Karis LeVert at 25 minutes. Now, Karis LeVert could easily handle more than that. He could pass, he can handle the ball, the shooting could be, if he's improved his defense, he's got some size, obviously. Got Isaac Okoro at 17. He could play 25 as well. Yeah, the offense isn't there, and it took a while to bring him back, but they did bring him back. The contract suggests he's going to play, but I can only get 17 for him because everything out of Cavs camp is that Milk, Ty Jerome, has been awesome. Now, they might not use Jerome at all. They might use Mitchell and Garland only as the point guards. But that hasn't been what's been happening. Jerome has been in that role, so we'll see if they do that. So I've got 14 minutes for Ty Jerome. I've got 10 minutes for Slam and Sammy Merrill, someone to get out there and shoot. And I've got 14 minutes for Dean Wade. You'll also notice that George Niang is not a part of this rotation. So if he does go 11 deep, Kenny Atkinson, then Niang's probably the 11th guy. This also doesn't include any Tristan Thompson to play any backup center minutes. It's just all Mobley and Allen. So it is quite a tough one to get like LeVert, Okoro, Jerome, Wade, the minutes in, and have huge minutes for the starters. I think that's going to be a challenge for that entire team. The last team I'm going to cover in this sort of a mini show is I want to look at the Dallas Mavericks. I would say that there is, like Luka just hasn't played in preseason with this calf thing. I would say there is some doubt that Luka plays opening night, honestly. He was really banged up through the NBA playoffs and the finals. They need to be cautious with him. He hurt it at the start of training camp with a calf contusion. We just haven't seen him since. So I think we've got to have an element of risk there. I do have him in at 36. I've got Kyrie at 36. I've got Clay and PJ Washington at 30, and I'm very sure those guys are going to start at the 3 and the 4. And then at center, I don't know which way they're going to go. I'm putting Derek Lively there, but not at 26 minutes. I'm putting him at 24 minutes. But it could very easily be Daniel Gafford that they put into that starting position. In terms of the reserves, I'm only going 9 deep because I'm not certain on Maxi Kleber's health. And I'm not sure if they will use Jaden Harvey or Omax Prosper either. I've got Gafford at 21 minutes. I've got Spencer Dinwiddie at 20. Quentin Grimes at 19 minutes, who's been pretty impressive through the preseason. And I've got Najee Marshall at 24. Kleber could get in there and play 10 or 11 minutes, and they would cut things out of Dinwiddie, it would cut out of Grimes, it would cut out of Marshall, maybe even cut out of Lively a little bit. But I'm not sure he's going to be healthy and available. And I don't think there's anyone else. Maybe it is Jaden Hardy, but with Irving and Doncic and Dinwiddie and Grimes, I'm not really sure where Hardy fits. Yes, Exum's out, but Exum doesn't play point guard for this team at all. He was playing like the 2 and the 3 really last season, and that was all he was going to do on this team now. So that's what I've got for the 9-man rotation for the Dallas Mavericks. So we're just doing little short, sharp ones here. That's 7 teams down. We'll do another one of those in the coming days. Let me know what you think and where things can differ, but that is how difficult it can be to play that 240 game because there's just not enough minutes to get everyone that you want enough playing time to matter. Hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe. You'll never miss an episode that way if you do that audio-wise and video-wise and double bang it. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.